In the quiet moments when we empty our pockets, or when loose change rattles in a jar at the back of the cupboard, there lies a secret world most of us never think to explore. Among those small, shiny discs we handle daily, one might hold a fortune. Take the humble 1992 UK 5 pence coin, for example, a piece so ordinary, so common at first glance, yet some examples of this very coin have sold at auction for thousands. Why? Because of rare minting errors, unusual planchets, or transitional anomalies that slipped past even the sharpest eyes at the Royal Mint. These are the kinds of stories that make numismatics, the study and collecting of coins, so fascinating. And today, we're going to uncover the hidden history and surprising value behind one of Britain's most overlooked coins, the 5 pence. The story of the 5 pence coin begins in 1968, when it was introduced as part of Britain's move toward decimalization. Smaller than the shilling it replaced, the coin was struck in cupronickel and featured Christopher Ironside's iconic crown thistle on the reverse, with Queen Elizabeth II's youthful profile on the obverse. Millions were minted, making them a familiar sight in every purse and wallet across the UK. But while the coin itself was designed to be nothing more than a convenient everyday denomination, the way it was made, the sheer volume of production, the mechanical complexity of striking millions of coins, inevitably led to mistakes. And it's in those mistakes that collectors find magic. Take the year 1992, for instance. This was a transitional year for the 5 pence. Up until this point, the coin was relatively large, 23.59 millimeters in diameter. But starting in 1990, the Royal Mint had begun striking a smaller, lighter 5 pence coin to save on metal and make it more practical for modern life. By 1992, however, some leftover planchets, the blank metal discs used to strike coins, from the older, larger version somehow made their way back into production. A few coins were struck using these obsolete planchets, creating what collectors now call transitional errors. To the untrained eye, these coins might just look like any other, but in reality they are exceedingly rare. When one surfaced at auction in 2015, it fetched over £2,000, and similar examples continue to command thousands when they appear, if they appear at all, and transitional errors are just the beginning. Among the most famous and desirable errors for the 5 pence are those involving a double die obverse. This occurs when the die, the engraved metal stamp used to press the coin's design, is impressed twice during preparation, but slightly misaligned. When such a die strikes coins, every coin it produces carries a ghostly doubling effect on the lettering, numbers, and sometimes even the Queen's portrait. On a coin as small as the 5 pence, spotting this doubling requires a sharp eye and good magnification. But collectors prize these coins precisely because they are rare and dramatic. One notable 1992 double die obverse example surfaced in a dealer's collection and, after authentication, sold for more than £3,500. The ghost-like echo of the Queen's profile and the shimmering doubled letters of Elizabeth II made it an irresistible piece for any serious collector. Then there are the wrong planchet strikes, some of the most thrilling errors in all of numismatics. Every now and then, a blank meant for a completely different coin slips into the press. In one well-documented case, a 5 pence was struck on a blank intended for a 1p coin, producing a reddish-toned, underweight piece that left experts stunned. Another example appeared struck on an unidentified foreign planchet, its color and weight subtly but unmistakably wrong. These off-metal strikes almost never come to light, and when they do they inspire intense bidding wars at auction. One such piece, a 1992 5 pence struck on an undersized copper-plated blank, sold for more than £4,000 in a heated online auction, proving once again that error coins often outshine their flawless counterparts. Part of what makes these finds so captivating is the historical context. The early 1990s were a time of transition for British coinage. The Royal Mint was adapting to new technologies and materials, downsizing coins for efficiency and public convenience, and experimenting with production techniques to keep up with demand. In such a fast-moving, high-pressure environment, it's no surprise that a few mistakes crept through. But what is surprising is how those small oversights have become prized relics, encapsulating a moment of change in Britain's monetary history. These coins are not just valuable for their rarity, they're tangible evidence of how the past sometimes leaves its mark in the most unexpected places, and the stories behind these coins are often just as compelling as the coins themselves. One collector from Yorkshire, a retired teacher, discovered a 1992 transitional 5 pence while helping his grandson sort through a jar of change for a school project. He recognized something odd about the weight and size of the coin and brought it to a local dealer, who confirmed its rarity. That coin later sold at auction for £2,800, and paid for his grandson's first year of university. Another story comes from a young woman in Manchester who inherited a small collection from her late uncle. She almost spent the 5 pence errors she found, until a friend encouraged her to check their details. To her astonishment, she discovered she was holding not one but 2 double-die obverse examples. Those 2 coins fetched a combined total of nearly £7,000, turning what she thought was pocket change into a small windfall. Auction houses across the UK have seen similar stories play out time and again, with seemingly insignificant coins commanding spectacular prices. One notable sale in London saw a 1992 transitional error, still in uncirculated condition, reach nearly £3,200 under the hammer, its perfect luster and sharp strike elevating its already rare status. These moments, when the ordinary becomes extraordinary, are what fuel the passion of numismatists and inspire casual collectors to keep searching. It's worth remembering that every one of these valuable errors passed unnoticed through countless hands before being recognized. Each of them sat in tills, clinked in purses, rattled in pockets, their true nature hidden in plain sight. That's what makes the hunt so thrilling, the idea that at any given moment, you could stumble upon one yourself. And all it takes is a little knowledge, a little curiosity, and the willingness to look closer at the coins you handle every day. So here's what you can do. Next time you're sorting through change or find yourself with a handful of coins at the end of the day, take a moment to examine your 5 pence pieces. Look for subtle signs of doubling in the letters or date. Feel the weight, is it slightly heavier or lighter than normal? Does the color seem off? Even small details like an oversized or undersized diameter could point to a transitional or wrong planchet error. If you find something unusual, don't spend it, set it aside and have it examined by a reputable dealer or grading service. That tiny coin might just hold a big secret. In the end, the UK 5 pence is more than just a piece of metal. It's a testament to Britain's numismatic heritage, a silent witness to decades of change, and in rare cases, a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. Coins like the 1992 5 pence remind us that value is not always obvious at first glance. Sometimes it's hidden in the smallest of details, waiting for someone to notice. And when they do, the rewards can be life-changing. So check your jars, your pockets, and your purses. Look carefully at those little silver discs you've ignored for years. Because one of them might just be worth thousands. One of them might just tell a story no one else has heard. And one of them might just remind you that sometimes, even in the smallest things, there's a whole world of wonder waiting to be found. It's amazing how often life hides its greatest treasures in plain sight. Every day, millions of people in the UK spend, drop, and forget one of the most iconic coins in British currency, the 50 pence piece. But what if I told you that a single 50 pence coin, seemingly ordinary, could actually be worth thousands of pounds? Take the humble 1969 UK 50 new pence coin, for instance, a piece that many dismissed as just another clunky addition to the decimalization era. Yet certain rare examples of this coin have fetched incredible sums at auction thanks to minting errors, unusual planchets, and fascinating transitional anomalies. Tonight, we're going to uncover the surprising value and hidden history behind this small but mighty coin, and by the end, you might just find yourself digging through old change jars in search of forgotten fortunes. Our story begins in 1969, a year of remarkable change in Britain. The government was preparing to convert the nation's ancient system of pounds, shillings, and pence into the cleaner, more logical decimal currency we know today. On October 14 of that year, the Royal Mint unveiled the 50 new pence coin, a bold heptagonal design that symbolized modernity and progress. At 30 mm across, it was one of the largest denominations in circulation and carried Christopher Ironside's timeless Britannia motif on its reverse. Queen Elizabeth II, as always, graced the obverse, but even her familiar profile took on a fresh feeling with the crisp, modern lines of the new coinage. What most people don't realize, however, is just how rushed and pressured the Royal Mint was during that transitional period. Decimalization required the production of millions of new coins in record time, a logistical challenge that pushed machines, dies, and human inspectors to their limits. Under such intense production conditions, mistakes were inevitable. And it's those mistakes that turned a handful of 1969 50-pence coins into numismatic legends. Among the most sought-after errors are double die obverse examples. During the die-making process, when the hub impresses the design into the die, a misalignment can cause the design to be doubled very slightly. Coins struck from such a die display faint but unmistakable doubling in the queen's profile, the lettering, and even the date. To an untrained eye, it might just look like a shadow or blur, but to a seasoned collector, it's a rare prize. In 2016, one of these double die 50-pence coins, discovered in a small family collection, sold at auction for over £3,800. The bidder, a lifelong numismatist, later described it as the find of a decade, its subtle ghost-like doubling a testament to the art and imperfection of coin production. Another fascinating anomaly from the 1969 run involves wrong planchet errors. A planchet, of course, is the blank disc that a coin is struck on. In the frenzy of producing millions of coins of different sizes and metals, the occasional foreign or incorrect planchet found its way onto the press. At least two confirmed examples of 1969 50-pence coins have surfaced struck on underweight planchets meant for 10-pence pieces, a fluke that left collectors in awe. One of these pieces, weighing just over 8 grams instead of the standard 13.5, sold at auction for an eye-popping £5,200. Its muted ring and slightly reddish hue gave away its unusual composition, but the sharpness of the strike proved it was no counterfeit. It was a genuine error, and a valuable one. Even more dramatic are the transitional anomalies. The Royal Mint experimented heavily during the decimal conversion years, testing different alloys and even slightly different die alignments before settling on the final production standards. A tiny handful of 50-pence pieces have been found with a subtly different obverse portrait alignment, a relic of those early trials. These coins, likely struck during die testing and never meant to circulate, somehow escaped into the public's hands. One surfaced in a dealer's shop in Birmingham in 2013 and created a sensation among collectors when it hammered for £4,750 at auction. Its owner, an elderly gentleman who'd kept it in a small tobacco tin since the 1970s, reportedly had no idea of its worth beyond the errors. Part of what makes these coins so enchanting is the time in which they were born. The late 1960s and early 1970s were a period of social and cultural transformation in Britain. Decimalization itself was controversial. Many older Britons felt nostalgic for the old system and distrusted the strange new coins that replaced it. The 50-pence, with its odd 7-sided shape, came to symbolize the modern age clashing with tradition. Holding one today is like holding a little slice of that tension, that history. And when you find one with a hidden error, you feel as though you've uncovered a secret message from the past. Collectors who specialize in British decimal coins often speak with reverence about the thrill of the hunt. One collector, featured in a 2018 numismatic journal, recounted how he discovered a 1969 double die 50-pence while helping his granddaughter sort through a jar of old coins for a school project. He recognized something unusual about the lettering and submitted it to a grading service, which certified it as genuine. That single coin later funded a once-in-a-lifetime trip to Canada for him and his wife. Another young man in London stumbled upon a transitional alignment anomaly in his grandfather's old change drawer, and sold it for enough to put a down payment on his first car. These aren't just coins, they're stories, wrapped in silvered cupronickel, waiting to be told. Auction records reflect the growing appreciation of these rare errors. In the past decade, prices for confirmed examples have steadily climbed. Where a double die 50-pence might have sold for £1,000 in the early 2000s, today it can fetch 3 or 4 times that. Wrong planchet strikes, especially on exotic or unidentified metals, are rarer still and can climb even higher. And pristine, uncirculated specimens of any of these errors command a significant premium among serious buyers. The key, as always, is condition, rarity, and authentication, but the rewards can be substantial for those who know what to look for. Perhaps what's most magical about these coins is that they're still out there. Despite their age, millions of 1969 50-pence coins remain in circulation, in piggy banks, in jars of odd change on dusty shelves. Many have been spent and spent again, their details worn smooth by decades of use. But a few, just a few, hold secrets. A faint doubling here, an odd weight there, a misaligned portrait that whispers of the chaos and ingenuity of a nation reinventing its money. And you could hold one of these treasures in your hand without even realizing it, so the next time you find yourself with a handful of change, take a moment to really look. Examine your 50-pence coins under a good light. Look closely at the letters, the numbers, the Queen's profile. Does anything seem doubled, shifted, or ghosted? Feel the weight, does it seem unusually light or heavy? And don't assume that just because it's old, it's worthless. Sometimes, the most ordinary-looking things can hold extraordinary value. If you spot something unusual, resist the urge to spend it. Instead, have it appraised by a reputable dealer or grading service. That small step could uncover a fortune hiding in your pocket in the end. Coins like the 1969 UK 50 new pence remind us why collecting is more than just a hobby. It's a way of connecting to history, to the quiet drama of everyday objects, to the stories of the people who made and used them. It's about wonder, the wonder of discovering that something overlooked and ordinary might be priceless. And it's about hope, the hope that even in the smallest things, great surprises still wait to be found. So check your jars, your drawers, your purses, and your pockets. Look carefully at those heptagonal coins you've ignored for years. Because one of them might just be worth thousands. One of them might just tell a story no one else has heard. And one of them might just remind you that sometimes, the most extraordinary treasures are hidden right in the palm of your hand.